everybody, AndyHG here. Now, 2018 is going to have quite a lot of exciting movies coming out, and some movies I'm kind of ambivalent towards. But before we get to the big movies of 2018, how about we take a look back at 2017 and my personal picks for last year. Just a couple things to keep in mind. First off, this list is strictly dictated by all the movies I watched during 2017. If I neglect to mention a movie you loved, it might be due to the fact that I didn't get time to watch it, like Thor Ragnarok. I'm going to keep this list short and not give any huge plot details, in case you want to go see these movies for yourself. Keep in mind this is strictly opinion based, and I do not think anybody is wrong for disagreeing with me. In fact, I welcome you to give me your top 10 picks in the comments down below. So without further ado, here's my top 10 movies list of 2017. The Disaster Artist. The movie based on the book about making the movie. The Franco brothers pull off the odd, but the everlasting friendship of Tommy Wiseau and Greg Sestero. There are some details that are left out from the book, while some made up ones are added, though that's nothing I'm really mad about because it's par for the course when it comes to this kind of film. Dave does a fantastic job as Greg, while James disturbingly does Tommy a little bit too well. As a fan of The Room, The Disaster Artist makes for an entertaining dramedy film. Yu-Gi-Oh! The Dark Sides of Dimensions. This movie was clearly made for the fans of Yu-Gi-Oh! Though at times I thought the dialogue was a little bit too campy, and I wonder if Lil Kribo was making the script, but honestly that's part of the English dub charm. The classic cast returns and give their all into this film, and it shows. It just leaves a giant smile on my face from beginning to end, and compared to the last couple of Yu-Gi-Oh! Movies we've gotten, it's a huge improvement. The Lego Batman movie. Imagine if Deadpool could be family friendly and still good. Split. Now technically this movie came out originally in 2016 for a film festival, while its theatrical release was in 2017. M. Night Shyamalan, who is best known for Signs, Sixth Sense, and Unbreakable, and infamously well known for that. In Split he shows us he can make a really solid film, after quite a long dry spell. Without saying too much about the film, I would say this is one of the first villain origin stories. And for those who enjoyed a certain M. Night film, I think you'll be very pleased here. And with that said, I cannot wait for the sequel. Wonder Woman. The Wonder Woman movie has been something that a lot of people have been talking about for a long time, and the wait has finally paid off. Gal Gadot really holds her own in this film. From Diana's beginnings to the point where she teams up with Batman and Superman to fight against, well, that thing. This movie shows that the DC Expanded Universe can really pull off an awesome film. I just wish that the other ones were as good. Get Out. Jordan Peele, who's best known for Mad TV, and of course Key and Peele, shows his ability to make a solid psychological thriller film. And this is his directorial debut. While making references to horror movies of the past, while also tackling the topic of racism, Get Out is perhaps one of the most uncomfortable yet realistic horror movies released to this date. Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. It seems to be the popular thing not to like this movie. YouTube doesn't seem reluctant to remind me that people do not like this movie. But I digress. Ever since I saw Force Awakens, I highly anticipated this film to see how it would amaze me, and after watching the trailers, I was afraid it was going to be too predictable and there would be no surprises. Thankfully I was wrong and was generally surprised by this film. I'm not going to go into what I really loved about this film and a couple things I didn't like, because that would be an entire video of its own. However, I feel like this movie is a step in the right direction to avoid the series from being stagnant, which was one of my biggest concerns from Force Awakens. Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. Originally when this movie was announced, I was expecting it to be a typical nostalgic cash grab with very little substance to it. Boy, I was wrong! Welcome to the Jungle gives us a perfect balance of action and comedy, along with an epic cast featuring The Rock, Kevin Hart, Karen Gillan, Jack Black, along with Nick Jonas. This movie feels like it was made for these actors. I find this movie to be great whether you never watched the first Jumanji, and those who are familiar with the first one, this might be an even better sequel. Spider-Man Homecoming. I am gonna say this right now, this is probably the best Spider-Man film we've had since Spider-Man 2. With this version of Spider-Man being introduced in Civil War, I was anxious to see how he would handle his own film. In this version of Homecoming, we get to know everything about this version of Peter, without some origin story unnecessarily telling us everything again. While he's back in high school for the third time, he's more, how should I say it, believable as a high school student, who's also a superhero. Just like Gal Gadot in Wonder Woman, Tom Holland owns it as both Peter Parker and Spider-Man. And he's probably the perfect balance between Garfield and Maguire's performances. And as the main villain, Michael Keaton kills it as the Vulture. And I noticed this is the fourth film where he played a winged character. Logan. Every story has to have its conclusion, and Logan, in my opinion, finishes out Wolverine's story. So rather depressing tone this time around, much different compared to all the Wolverine and X-Men films we've gotten by far. Logan definitely isn't what he used to be, all Transigen is on his tail while trying to capture his daughter Laura, and while he's running away with her, he's also bringing Xavier, who's suffering from Alzheimer's. For what seems to be Hugh Jackman's grand finale as the role of Wolverine, this is definitely a film to go out on. And for Daphne Keane, I hope she can come back and do more films with Laura, and eventually take up the mantle of Wolverine. Maybe Cable can help her? Who knows? For being a grand finale to the Wolverine and X-Men movies, Logan will be my top pick for 2017. So that's my top 10 movies list of 2017. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments down below. I am ADHG, and I'll catch you later. Dave does a fantastic.